Hey guys, if this is your first time to my channel, hello and welcome. My name is Emily and today I am bringing you another pay or stay away. I feel like I just did my pay or stay away pretty recently, but I think I want to start putting these videos up on Monday. Typically, most of the people who actually do these videos have a pretty set schedule when it comes to putting them up. I know that Samantha March does hers on Wednesday, and I think Angelica does hers on Sunday. I think I want to start putting these up on Monday just so that we have a set time of when I'm going to be doing the pay or stay away series, and I'm going to go ahead and get that into motion today. So that's why I'm doing my most recent two pay or stay aways pretty close to each other, but there have been a decent amount of releases since I last did mine. I think it was 5 days ago. So let's go ahead and jump on into the first one. So the first item on the pay or stay away list are the two new Morphe palettes that were released yesterday, it looks like, and they are both for sale now. They're going to be $18 each, and you can use someone's code to save 10% off. Typically, I use DupeThat's code if I'm buying anything from Morphe because I like those girls and I want to support them, but you can use whatever influencer code that you would like to. Now, these palettes, so one of them is supposed to be a more boyish themed palette, I think, or at least it's called Oh Boy, and the other one is the more girl themed palette, I believe, and it's called Hey Girl Hey. Cute concept, I suppose. I guess I just don't really get the concept of these palettes. I'm not sure if they're just called that or if they're supposed to be themed. I don't really know. I could see that causing a lot of issues because you can't really call something with pinks in it just a girl palette. Anyone can use pink, you know what I'm saying? So the girl palette, the Hey Girl Hey palette, has a lot of neutrals, and then it has a row of kind of warm rosy tones, and then the very bottom row is more kind of plummy dark deepening shades, which I think that those last two rows are very pretty. And there's a couple pops of, it looks like fuchsia pink or maybe even a light purple, and I think that those look really interesting. The rest of it is just very basic, boring browns as per usual. You know, we expect this from Morphe by now. I think that this palette could have been a success if they would have just taken the last two rows from the palette and just made it its own palette and maybe moved down those two purple shades. I'll go ahead and put up a mock-up of it. But I think that that would have been a nice palette and I think people would have liked that. I think that throwing in the transition shades and the like very basic neutrals, at this point, I think it's doing Morphe more harm than good. I understand that they want to create a palette where you can just take, you know, some transition shades and a few pops of colors and make a bunch of different looks, but at this point, we don't need that. I'm sure that some people really do like having, you know, an all-in-one palette. I know that a lot of people actually really do like having that, but me personally, I'm just not really into it, and I think that maybe they could have come out with something that's just colorful, and I think that that would have been a little bit more unique to the market. Now, I totally understand people want the all-in-one palette, like I was saying, so I do get why they put the neutral shades in and whatnot, but for me personally, I wish that it was just an all-colorful palette. That's just my makeup style, and I would have personally liked to see that, so I'm not going to be getting the Hey Girl Hey palette. Now, the Oh Boy palette is a completely different story. I totally understood the concept with the Hey Girl Hey palette as far as the color scheme goes. I get why they put those transition shades in with the pops of colors. This palette I do not get even in the slightest. This looks exactly like the palette that they released a couple months ago that looked like a concealer palette. It looks exactly the same. I'm not sure if that's the same one. Maybe it is the same one. If it is, I'll go ahead and eat my words, but it looks exactly the same. They're saying that these are two new palettes that are releasing, at least that's what it says on DupeThat's Instagram. It says two new palettes just dropped. So I would assume that this is supposedly a new palette. So I'm not feeling this even in the slightest. I don't need camel brown shades, you know, 50 shades of beige. I don't need that. I have that in a bunch of palettes. I don't ever reach for a brown shade ever in my makeup looks. I'm always using color, even if it's just like a peach shade or a plum to deepen things up. I'm never reaching for a very basic brown shade. It's just not my style, not my thing, and I'm going to be passing over these guys. Now, as for the blush palettes that they were going to be releasing, I am absolutely going to be giving them my money for those. I talked about that in my previous pay or stay away, but the eyeshadows just haven't been really doing it for me. I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled, but as far as these eyeshadow palettes go, I am not going to be purchasing those from Morphe. While we're on the topic of Morphe, let me go ahead and just go over the Morphe and Laura Lee collab that's going to be coming out. It looks like that you are going to be getting 10 of her favorite brushes, plus one new brush that she is coming out with Morphe, and a brush bag, all for $54. It is going to be available on April 9th, and you can use a code, whatever influencer code that you support. You can go ahead and use their code and get 10% off. I don't need a brush set at this point in my makeup life. I have already bought a decent amount of brushes. I have some Morphe brushes and they're okay. They're not the most amazing quality brushes in the world, but then again, I've never really used super high quality brushes. I've always gone for Morphe or e.l.f. just because for a while I didn't feel like you needed nice brushes to be able to get a good eye look done. Now I totally think differently. I really want the Wayne Goss brushes, and I want some nicer brushes in my collection to be able to have an easier eyeshadow application and be able to just do my makeup faster and easier. But for me personally, I do not need a brush set, especially not from Laura Lee, who isn't someone that I keep up with. You know, if it was someone that I supported and someone that I loved, maybe if Angelica came out with a brush set or Georgia came out with a brush set, then I would probably think about picking it up. I'm not really inclined to gravitate towards something that Laura Lee's name is on just because I'm not really a follower of hers. I followed her for a little bit. I don't really think that there's anything wrong with her. She's just not really my cup of tea, but I totally understand why people love her. She does have a certain charm about her. She's just not really my cup of tea. But I don't doubt that this brush set is a good deal. I think that you actually get a decent amount of brushes for a pretty good price. You get 10 brushes for $54 plus the one new brush and the brush bag. So essentially it's like $5 a brush, maybe even a little bit less. I suck at math, but it's not very expensive to actually get the full brush set if you need it, and if you've been looking for a brush set that's affordable, I think that this is a pretty good price. So maybe consider getting it if you've been looking for a brush set where you get a variety of different brushes for an inexpensive price. I think this isn't a bad deal. It's just not for me. I don't need it right now. I have my eyeballs on some Wayne Goss brushes, so I'm gonna go ahead and save my coin for those babies. The next item on my pay or stay away list here are the new Smashbox and Vlada MUA Petal Metal highlighters. So Vlada MUA is a well-known makeup artist on Instagram, and she is really, really famous, and people know her from basically when Kylie Cosmetics stole her designs and used them in one of their campaigns without actually crediting her. Vlada spoke up and did something about it, like she should have. She was able to kind of come for Kylie and say, what the hell, you took my designs. So Kylie had to, I believe, compensate her for it. And she eventually credited her after kind of a long situation that happened a couple of years ago. Eventually Kylie did credit her, and a lot of people knew Vlada MUA from that. She did have a following before that though. She's an extremely talented makeup artist and does incredible lip art. So Smashbox last year collabed with her to make some lip glosses, I believe, and then I think they came out with some metallic lip glosses as well. And they were really, really pretty. They weren't really my thing. I'm not really into metallic lip glosses. I like more of like a wet shine kind of lip gloss, so I stayed away from those at the time being. But she already does have a history with Smashbox because of that collaboration, and one of the lip glosses was called Petal Metal. So the fact that she came out with these highlighters and named it the same thing, I think is so cute, and it definitely has a personal touch. This is a collab that looks like they spent so much time in the lab and, you know, at the thinking board, really thinking this out and making it look very special and making it feel very special and very luxe, which is what I think collabs should be. I'm not here for the types of collabs where it's literally the same exact product, or it's very, very similar, but just tiny little things are tweaked and there is no personal touch to the actual collab. I'm not here for that. If I'm buying a collab, I'm probably going to be getting it for the person that is doing the collab, or I want something that's just going to be special. I mean, it's a collab, it should be special. If I were doing a collab, I would want to go all out, and it really looks like Vlada went all out for this. These highlighters are everything I could ever dream of as far as packaging and as far as aesthetics are concerned. Good Lord, these are so freaking gorgeous. I didn't even tell you when these are going to be retailing, so let me go ahead and cover those bases real quick. These are going to be available for pre-order on April 9th on the website, and you can preview them at their Venice Beach store, which is really cool. If you live in Venice Beach, maybe you could go over there and take a peek at them yourself. They are going to be officially available on the Ulta website on April 13th, and the Smashbox website as well. It looks like on April 17th at Sephora, they're going to be releasing an exclusive highlighter shade to Sephora in Prismatic Petal, which I would assume would be maybe like an icy duochromy white shade, but we'll see. They are going to be in all Ulta stores on April 22nd, and April 23rd, they are going to be in all stores. That's a lot of different dates that they are releasing these, but that's okay because they probably want everyone to get a chance to pick them up because they're probably assuming they're going to sell out. So releasing them on different dates kind of makes sense to me. This way you release small amounts of the product at each time so people have more of a chance of actually getting the product, which I definitely appreciate that because I can't always be on my phone at 10 a.m. at PST when these things launch. There's going to be 2 different shades of the highlighter. They are going to be retailing for $39 each. We have Rose Mantic, which is the deeper of the shades, and it is the rose gold shade. And then we have Gilded Rose, which is the champagne shade, which is the lighter of the 2 shades. I'm going to be completely honest, I'm probably going to get this, but it's literally going to be probably for just the packaging. I know the highlighter is going to be amazing. It looks like this is a baked gelée formula, which is one of my absolute favorites. And the colors look really, really nice and beautiful, but the only issue that I have with this is that I really like the rose gold shade for the deeper complexions, or maybe to use as a blush topper. I'm not really a blush topper kind of gal though, but for people who do like blush toppers, I think this would be a nice one if you have fairer skin, and obviously it would be an amazing highlight on someone with deeper skin. Only problem that I have with the Gilded Rose highlighter, which is the more champagne toned one, is that to me it just looks like a very basic champagne highlight. To me it looks like the Amarizi highlight that just came out, and it kind of looks like any old champagne highlight. I wish that they would have gone for maybe a lighter peachy rose toned highlighter, something that's more unique to the market and something that we don't see too often, or maybe even like a lighter shade of the deeper rose gold shade that they're offering. I think that it should have been a rosy color. Now granted, I'm not really sure because in some pictures this really does look like it's a rosy champagne, but in some pictures it looks like it's just a very basic standard champagne. If it's a rosy toned or peachy champagne color, I am 130% here for it, and I will absolutely pick it up because there is a lot of just basic champagne toned highlighters on the market, and I do not need another one. I don't think any of us need another one, but do we really need anything? I mean, we're buying this because we want it and it makes us feel good, but I would feel better buying a more unique type of a highlight, especially with this gorgeous packaging and this really, really special collaboration. I would much rather it have been something a little bit more interesting. A rosy pink toned champagne highlighter would have been just so perfect. Maybe even like a champagne pink duochrome or something. Just something a little bit more unique than just a basic old champagne highlighter. That being said, I am probably going to be picking this up because I just can't resist it. It's just too beautiful, and I'm an avid makeup collector, so I just have to have this in my collection. It's so beautiful, so I'm probably going to be paying for this guy, but I do wish that it was just a little bit more interesting as far as the actual shade of the product goes. But I am excited to see reviews and to see more views of the product. Maybe it is a really nice, unique champagne color. So as of right now, I'm probably going to be paying for it, but I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled to see more looks at the actual product itself. So the next item that I have on my pay or stay away list here is the 10-year anniversary palette from Kat Von D. I feel like Kat Von D has answered all of our prayers and has given us what everyone has been asking for: a rainbow palette in her collection. Now, of course, this one is limited edition. All of her palettes that are amazing are limited edition, unfortunately. Now, this is going to be available on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. And it looks like it's going to be available in Sephora and on her website. This looks absolutely stunning, and Kat Von D actually listens to her consumers, which is something to definitely pay credit to, because most people don't, and most companies don't actually listen to their consumers. And whenever someone says that they want something back from Kat Von D, she ends up releasing something similar to what people are asking for. She never actually brings back the product, but she definitely kind of attempts to do something different, make a variation of the product that people are asking for, and I can definitely commend her for that. As far as the palette goes, it looks absolutely stunning. There are quite a few lighter shades in this palette, but I definitely think that they're needed because they are a lighter, colorful transition shade, and I think that that's what a lot of palettes in general on the market are missing, are these beautiful, colorful, matte transition shades. You don't have to have a beige to be a transition shade. I never use beige as a transition shade. I'm always using pinks or peaches or yellow like I am today, and I can definitely appreciate Kat Von D putting in some of those lighter transition shades. She's also got a decent amount of deepening shades as well. She's got some deeper blues. She's got your basic deep brown to basically round out any look. Looks like she's got a nice olive green, and there's a beautiful tealish green color in there that looks to be a matte. And I feel like a matte teal is a pretty unique color to the market. So I think that this looks absolutely stunning. I definitely have my eye out on it, and I'm probably going to be picking it up. We haven't really heard how much it's going to be yet, but I can assume probably $45 to $50. And I think I'm going to be picking this up because it looks absolutely beautiful, and I don't have a lot of these colors in my collection, so I definitely have my eyeballs out on the Kat Von D 10-year anniversary palette. And my last item here on the pay or stay away list for this week are the new L'Oreal Makeup Paradise Enchanted Scented Eyeshadow Palettes and the Paradise Enchanted Fruit Scented Blushes. I don't know why I always have a problem pronouncing all these names to these products. English is my first language. I should know these things. It looks like the eyeshadow palette is going to be retailing for $11.99, which is a decent price for an eyeshadow palette. And it looks like there is going to be 4 blushes in the collection, and those are going to be $10.99 each. It looks like these are all fruit scented. I'm not sure what kind of fruit, but I can imagine maybe a tropical fruit or maybe cherries because the color scheme is very pink and peachy and red. Maybe it's even peach. Maybe they borrowed inspo from Too Faced, although I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Anyway, I digress. It looks like they are available for pre-order on Amazon, and I haven't seen anything as far as when they are going to be available on the L'Oreal website or in stores yet. So it looks like it's just pre-order right now. I feel like this collection was put out specifically to compete with the Maybelline Lemonade Craze collection. This is very, very reminiscent of that. They just came out with the Maybelline Lemonade Craze palette, which is lemon scented, and it even has a very similar vibe to the way the palette looks. The way it's set up reminds me of the new Maybelline palette, and I'm not opposed to it. I like the idea of the drugstore doing more colorful palettes and more interesting and themed palettes, and I think it looks pretty. I've never tried any eyeshadows from L'Oreal. I think I've only tried like one L'Oreal lipstick. I've never really bought L'Oreal makeup before. I don't know why. I just never really have gotten around to it, and I'm totally clueless when it comes to the drugstore. I've said this before. But I think that those blushes that are coming out for $10.99 are absolutely stunning. All of them look absolutely beautiful. There is a light apricot peachy shade. Looks like there is a more kind of corally hot orange shade. There's a little bit more of a deeper peach shade, and there looks to be more of a burnt terracotta peachy shade as well. So I went into my collection to see if I had dupes for these before I considered buying them, because I definitely did consider buying them. And I do have dupes for all the colors that I would want in the blush collection, so I'm going to be passing up on that. I am also going to be passing up on the Paradise Enchanted Scented Fruit Eyeshadow Palette because I currently own all of these colors in my collection, and I'm absolutely going to do another video like I did with the Maybelline Craze palette, duping it out in my collection, because I think this one looks kind of similar to the Maybelline Craze palette, but there's a few differences, and I know that I have shades like that in my collection that already exist. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass on this whole collection, but I don't think it's a bad collection by any means. I think that if you are lacking in some peachy blushes and you want some, or if you are lacking in some peachier, pinkier toned eyeshadows and you don't want to go spend an arm and a leg, I think this is a good place to start and to kind of experiment with some of those pinky colors. I definitely think it's a good collection, and I definitely think the drugstore has been stepping it up lately, especially with these themed collections. I am 1000% here for it, and I am very excited to see what else is going to be coming to the market soon when it comes to the drugstore. Well, that is going to be wrapping up this week's pay or stay away video. We didn't have a whole bunch of launches in the past couple of days, but there was still some pretty impactful ones like that new Smashbox and Vlada MUA collab. That really had my attention, and I'm very, very excited to see what people have to say about those highlighters because they just look so absolutely perfect. If you enjoyed this video, I do hope that you consider subscribing. I have all sorts of makeup goodness happening here on this channel, and I have a new pay or stay away coming at you every single Monday. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. I hope you're having an absolutely amazing day wherever you are, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!